guess who's back?
Watley's back.
Craftcast is back.
Yeah.
Tell a friend
Too.
or brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome back to both of you. How's it going in our brand new studio?
It's not really a new studio, James.
Well, they don't know that. we for those listening, we have we've got rid of the desk and got rid of the very formal office chairs we had in season 1, and we've now sat on some lovely green leather couches, which is much more relaxed. I feel ready to sit and have a nice little chat with my two favourite Freemasons.
Feels more casual yet more professional.
Well, you're very casual at the moment because you've got me and Shaun, for those listening, are both sat here in a suit jacket and a shirt. Shaun's got a tie on, being a very senior member of the team. Stephen, you're sat here in a sports jersey, I think.
Well, I do sport. I know you guys struggle with that.
I'm not familiar with what that is, no.
And I've got a fencing match to be going to later, so here I am in my
Who are you building a fence up against?
Carry on, James.
I assume this is a fencing match in which you're participating.
Yes, I'm not just watching. Yeah, Kiel versus Liverpool.
Yeah, you
is that going to be on Sky Sports? Or?
You rocked up this morning, like, Shaun and I, semi-formal, Shaun quite formal, and then you rocked up this morning like a bit of a roadman, to be honest with you.
I had things to change into, it's fine.
You did have things to change into, yes, including a short shopping spree out.
Yeah.
Forgot a certain item of clothing that was quite essential.
Had to go and sort that one out at the charity shop.
But
I was genuinely concerned at one point, Stephen, when you turned up with what you were wearing, that you were actually going to record a drill album.
Well, our photography session did look like the new album cover for season 2.
For the worst indie band ever.
The difficult second album. Yeah.
Definitely a feud upcoming there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's definitely a feud.
A falling out. Yeah.
Are we looking forward to season 2, guys?
Very much so. I mean, absolutely. The world's premier Masonic podcast.
That's right. We're back.
Yeah.
It's a bold claim and probably
laugh.
inaccurate.
We're back for your
lose
Masonic...
all credibility when you laugh
I
after
think
saying it.
credibility's long gone in regards to this podcast.
Back for your Masonic entertainment. What have we been up to over the long and arduous summer months? Anything exciting going on? You've had, Mr. Watley, quite the summer in terms of university, I believe.
Yeah, well, I've been finishing off my degree, dissertation, etc.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, we don't know how he did yet. You might have failed.
Have you had the results?
I've had my results. I graduated. It's all
Can
good.
we ask what you got?
You can. I won't tell you. No, I'm joking. No, I got a 2-1.
Way, well done, Stephen.
Thank you. To be honest, I was a little disappointed that I didn't get a first overall.
Well, don't.
But at the end of the day,
Some of
to be
us
honest,
in this room got Desmond Tutus. So, I'm looking at Marta. Marta got first. I got a 2-2.
Marta, who, by the way, is also got a new part of the studio. She's got her own wonderful desk. Again, I know you can't see this, so I could be saying anything right now, but sat in the corner, her own luxurious chair, her own little recording desk, looking quite the part, Marta. She's not going to respond, of course, she never does. She might just be a figment of our imagination.
More formally dressed than I am, at least.
She is more, well, I think anybody is more formally dressed.
She's not putting up any fences. That's all good. And what about you, James? Travelling as usual?
Yeah, a bit of Phileas Fogg, as you like to call me. Spent 8 weeks in the US over the summer months, most of that in Miami. It was a work trip, I assure you, although the weather was absolutely glorious. Did get hit, well, I didn't get hit, but Florida did get hit by a hurricane. And my mother was so concerned about me. She was like, "Oh my God, are you safe? Are you taking shells?" Like, Mum, the hurricane's 800 miles away from where I am. I think you lose scale in the UK of how big the US actually is.
Yeah.
But I did go to the Kennedy Space Center while I was over there.
Interesting.
To see the Saturn V laid on the side and the Apollo 8 launch room. And I've always been a bit of a space geek. I've always enjoyed sort of the history of the space race. And I found that a really interesting, fascinating day out.
Sounds it.
Just a shame I was on my own, really. As a loner. But it was a good day.
Well, are you aware
I imagine
now?
you get used to it, though.
Yeah, you do.
Being on your own.
People often think that when you say, I travel a lot for work, that sounds really glamorous and sexy. I can assure you, for anyone listening who knows this life, living out of a hotel room for 8 weeks or out of a suitcase, the novelty very quickly wears off. Yeah. So I was quite glad to get home.
And straight into your Freemasonry, no doubt, James.
Yeah, straight in. I think as we're recording this today, I've probably been out, I would say, 8 times in the last 2 weeks. So a combination of
grief.
Installations and long service certificates. I did one last night, and in my province, the provincial DC or deputy DC or assistant DC has to, after the certificate's been given and the APGM's done a bit of a sort of interview with the recipient, we do what we call a proclamation. So we kind of stand up and recite that brother's Masonic CV to list off all of his achievements. And it's a custom piece that you write and learn, which it's frightening because nobody else can prompt you because you've written it. But it's really nice to kind of reflect on their experience and what they've done.
I imagine when you get it right, it really sounds good.
It does hit home for them, yeah. So it's a really nice thing to do. And what about Mr. Butler?
UJLE life keeping me busy. What can I say? What have I been up to? So much. I mean, we've obviously got the new strategy that we've been continuing to roll out across provinces and districts, which is,
Try not to sound too excited.
No, but genuinely, it's an exciting thing.
It's a huge piece of work.
It's a huge piece of work, and generally, Masonically, summer is a time where people rest and recharge the batteries ahead of the new season. But we haven't really had the opportunity to do that because we are working hell for leather, and it's all good. It's all good stuff. It's all very positive. And I have to say, there's some really exciting things coming down the track, which I hope that we'll be able to talk to you about in season 2 of Craftcast.
Well, I found that at home, really with communications, that until I was communications officer, I didn't quite realise that summer is the period where you can rest from the everyday things and just do all the preparation for the upcoming Masonic year. Like we've been working on a launch of our new website and social media plans and press releases and all these things, and that's
all the good stuff.
It's all great, but obviously summer is the time when you can not be doing the meeting side of it, so you can actually dedicate a little more time to that.
There's a guy in one of my lodges who's a teacher, and I always joke with him, you get 6 weeks off over the summer. He's like, do you know how much work I do over those 6 weeks to prepare for the new academic year? And I get a sense it's kind of like that here, right? Most Masonic provinces and lodges are kind of off for the summer months, but you guys are continuously busy prepping for the new season, working on the strategy or comms or whatever it is that's going on.
Well, when you think, as an organisation, not so much impacting my team, but UJLE Grand Lodge went to Wales. That took a QC meeting to Wales. That's a huge thing. That takes a monumental amount of planning and organisation to take something like a QC meeting to another part of the country.
A QC meeting being?
A QC meeting, quarterly communication of Grand Lodge. So it's one of the 4 business meetings that UJLE holds each year, through which the business of Grand Lodge is conducted. And generally, those meetings are held here at Freemasons Hall in London, but as part of the new strategy, using that yes if rather than no because attitude, the Programme Master took this quarterly communication meeting in September to Newport in Wales, and I don't think I'm exaggerating if I say it was a massive success, and I think the feedback's been exclusively positive generally.
Showcase for the yes if attitude.
Well, absolutely.
Quite right.
What can be achieved with that yes if attitude? So it is a busy time. There isn't really ever a rest, but as I say, all hugely exciting, lots of interesting things coming down the track, including season 2 of Craftcast, may I add.
And you gave a little preview there in a way, Stephen, asking what QC meant, because
indeed.
We are going to
Good
revisit.
Segue,
We're going to revisit a theme from season 1, which we did a Masonic explainer, terminology explainer episode, where we went through a handful of commonly used Masonic phrases and things that we would say in the podcast. And we're going to take that further this season with a future episode where we go through some more Masonic terminology and some more acronyms. So for anyone listening who is a Mason and maybe doesn't know what we're talking about, or if you're a non-Mason, you're just super curious, stay tuned for that episode, because I think it's going to be another good one.
Yeah, I think it's obviously particularly useful for non-Masons who have obviously no idea of the terminology that we're using, but also for younger Masons and newer Masons that maybe aren't quite familiar with these things, and in some lodges it's maybe not explained to them so extensively, and hopefully we can provide that for them.
Yeah, and in terms of what else is coming down the track this season, I think some more of what we know that you like, those sort of insights into the Masonic world, that obviously we can offer you. As James has just touched on, we're fully aware that we have a number of people who aren't Freemasons that listen to this, so we want to make it as inclusive and as open to to those people as we possibly can. And we are aware that we are often guilty as Freemasons of falling into that trap of just using terminology and
that we're familiar with.
Yeah. And Marta generally just boots us if we say something that, like I said, QC earlier,
really confused.
Well, yeah, but that is a useful steer. So things like that are really useful. I think also, again, speaking to, we want to do a lot more around special interest lodges and just show other sides of Freemasonry that maybe other people haven't had a chance to see, and the massive expanse of opportunities for people within the organisation in terms of, if you're interested in football, as we touched on last season, or rugby, or classic cars, or cigars, or sci-fi, or whiskey, all of those things, Freemasonry has something to offer you, and so much more. So I'm really looking forward to touching on a lot more of those topics.
I think it's something that we're quite privileged to be in a position to really get into every nook and cranny of Freemasonry and understand the things that, the parts of aspects of Freemasonry that otherwise we might not have even heard of, let alone understand and talk about.
I'm really interested in expanding on some of the themes that we talked about in the last season. And I know that we've got a number of additional topics that we want to dive into in season 2. Shaun, we talked earlier off mic about the armed forces.
Absolutely.
And the relationship with Freemasonry, particularly with Armistice Day and Remembrance Sunday coming up. I was fortunate to be part of a consecration of an armed forces lodge recently, so I'd love to dive into some of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to talk about different clubs across different provinces and what that can look like and how that can work. I think it's just going to be university scheme. Yeah, it's super important to talk about that. And all of these things actually support the 7-year strategy in their own ways. And so it'd be really
I think they're
good
all
to explore.
important to different members and different groups of members in the fraternity, and obviously will equally important to us as a whole fraternity and as a whole organisation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think maybe as a sort of good way to end this intro episode to season 2, another sort of call to action for anyone listening. If you think that you have a story to tell, or your lodge has a particularly interesting history or story to tell, do get in touch with us, because actually another thing that we're really keen to look at this season is your everyday Freemasonry. Yeah. Obviously we're talking as the official podcast of the United Grand Lodge of England, but the United Grand Lodge of England is made up of 48 provinces. It's made up of 7,000 lodges. We need to make sure that we're reflecting the experiences of Freemasons at all levels of the organisation, and that's something that we're absolutely committed to doing in this season.
And all areas.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do get in touch with us. Podcasts at ugle.org.uk. On Twitter, it's UGLE_Grand Lodge. You can find us on Facebook as well. Get in touch. It's the best way to reach us. It's the best way to interact with us. We really want to hear from you about your lodges and your everyday experience with Freemasonry. It's very easy for us to sit here in London and talk about high-level topics, and that's important. But it's all about you, the members, so get in touch with us.
We hope you've enjoyed this introductory episode to season 2. We're delighted to be back, and we will see you very soon.
Goodbye.
Indeed.
Craftcast, the Freemasons podcast. The podcast is hosted by Shaun Butler, Stephen Watley and James Dalton. The producer is Marta Zandri, and the podcast is edited by Trisonic.